how the narcissist uses death. As long as I have a want, I have a reason for living. Satisfaction is death. So said George Bernard Shaw. To my kind, satisfaction is not death, but we derive satisfaction from death, the death of others. The death of somebody else provides us with an opportunity to use that death for our own purposes, to triangulate other people with the death of somebody we know or don't even know, in order to assert control and draw fuel. We do not care if somebody dies, because we have no emotional empathy. Of course, the lesser will give some rudimentary pretense of caring, because he does not realize that he has no emotional empathy. The mid-range narcissists really believe that they're upset, tortured, distraught by the death of the relevant individual because they believe that they are good people, and fail to realize that this is just the manifestation of their narcissism being exhibited so that they can gain sympathy, that they can assert control, that they can gain fuel, they can obtain support, help, etc. The greater and the ultra will utilize death for their own purposes. There would not be necessarily the wailing and gnashing of teeth that is exhibited by the mid-ranger, but they will use it as an opportunity to demonstrate false compassion and false support. You will see no tears from the greater or the ultra, but like any narcissist, the greater and the ultra will use death for our purposes, to enable us to gain those prime aims. I rarely attend funerals, but that is not to say that I would not use the instances of dying and of death to my distinct advantages like any of my brethren. Indeed, where the spectre of death looms, waiting to cut that last slender link between the person and life with his sharpened scythe, our kind come crawling from the woodwork in order to avail ourselves of the copious fuel that is available on these occasions, and as always, the necessity of asserting control. Should you see one of our kind reappear after an absence, there is a reasonable chance that the sickly sweet smell of death has attracted us. Should a narcissist learn that a family member or friend is about to shuffle off this mortal coil, then this presents a marvellous opportunity for our kind. To begin with, the facade can be maintained through demonstrating false compassion about the circumstances of the person whose demise is imminent. We understand all of the phrases to roll out to the procession of visitors and comforters who are drawn to the bed of the dying individual. The narcissist delights in keeping a vigil beside this person, even though we may not have bothered with them in years. The lesser and mid-range narcissist sees no problem with such contradiction or hypocrisy. The narcissism blinds them to it. And should someone be as bold to question why the narcissist has appeared now of all times, after remaining away, this amounts to a threat to the narcissist's control, and therefore will be seized upon, and such an unwarranted observation will provide us with an opportunity to assert control by castigating the questioner. How can you ask such a thing like this at a time like this? This isn't about me. It is about Uncle Malcolm. How we manage to say this with a straight face still entertains me. You can talk. What have you done for her lately? Which will be asked even if we know that the questioner has been a total rock to the dying individual. Our narcissism will dispute that, erase it, diminish it in some way. Our response will be designed to assert control over the questioner and allow us to drink of the fuel that is provided in response. The narcissist provides a rudimentary appearance of caring, although it is all for show. It's all part of the veneer and the facade. We will, of course, leave the heavy lifting work to the other people. We are not there to change the pus-ridden bandages or soothe the fevered brow. We will not clean up after someone soils themselves or spills food and drink down their front from shaking, tremulous hands. Not at all. But we will do what we do best and shower words of empty kindness, false compassion, and fake consideration towards the ill individual. This makes us look good in the eyes of all assembled, and their nods of approval and muttered thanks not only provides us with, of course, fuel, but adds to the maintenance of our facade. We are a good stick for travelling all this way. We were coming for another reason, but, of course, we will not tell you that. And of offering such eloquent words of comfort to all assembled. Watch us as we move amongst family members, friends, colleagues, and neighbours who turn up to see if they can help as we position ourselves as gatekeepers. Nobody gains admittance without seeing us first, so that we may suck in the fuel that comes from such heightened emotional situations. Tearful siblings, stern-faced uncles, bewildered cousins, all ripe for us to send a pleasant and supportive comment towards, purely to receive their thanks, gratitude, and approval. We will not allow the person whose sands of time are running out to inhabit centre stage one last time as we camp on their ground, usurping them through an exhibition of apparent concern and compassion. Watch carefully, and you will see that the narcissist does not actually do anything for the dying person. That's not our role. There are minions for that, and it is all beneath us. Instead, we see this as a chance to draw fuel and to bolster the facade as we appear to be a supportive individual. Remember, this is done in the subconscious of the narcissists that are lesser and mid-range, and is actively done with an awareness by the greater and the ultra. We give the impression of being a supportive individual who is pulling everyone together and ensuring that the dying person's final days are as happy and as comfortable as possible. We have seen enough times what needs to be said in order to produce the tears, the slowly dipped head and the weak smile, the attempt to be brave despite the apparent heavy sadness. It's all part of the imitation game. Inside, we do not feel anything as we greet each person other than the power that comes from the fuel provided by these individuals. We feel empowered as the fuel that flows. We hover by the bed, watching over the new arrival's interaction with our charge, commenting on what we have been doing for them. In fact, it will be someone else who has cared for them, but of course we are content to take the credit for it. We gain additional approval and thanks, asserting control as we do, drinking up the fuel. We actually, as seeing people as an extension of ourselves and our grandiosity, regard these visitors as actually having come to see us, to thank us for our work, our generosity and our greatness, rather than the dying, shriveled person in the bed nearby. Like some morbid cuckoo, we appear and take over this person's final act, claiming it for ourselves, our fuel lines snaking towards anybody and everybody who appears. Think that this is an awful way to behave? Of course you do. But we do not. We have no emotional empathy. We must do what is necessary for the prime aims, and of course the lesser and mid-ranged narcissists do so unconsciously. Of course, there even remains the opportunity to draw fuel from the dying individual. Although they may look at us through morphine-hazed eyes and mumble medicated words which are difficult to discern, the tightness of their grip on our arm or hand tells us plenty about how they appreciate what we are doing. As their time on this world draws to a close, we still see the chance to pull some fuel from this person as we trot out the familiar platitudes at a time like this. We do not say those words to convey comfort. We do not care. but only to assert control, to ensure that appreciation, gratitude, and thanks comes our way, and in turn gives us the control that we crave and the fuel alongside it. As guardian and comforter-in-chief, we position ourselves at the centre of everything during this period. We do little but direct others and issue our spoken commands and observations, all of which being self-serving. We will endeavour to create yet more fuel by leaning in low and listening intently as the dying person speaks. It may well be their last words, as we nod and gently pat them with our hand, the chosen one to receive their final speech. We will take these words and use them to our advantage. Should the grieving widow, let's call her Emily, ask what her now departed husband said, we may well dismiss his actual words and tell her something else. We turn and say, "He said, tell Emily, I am sorry for what I did." Her look of confusion at our false utterance provides us with fuel, allows us to assert control. Alternatively, we might said, "He said, tell Rose, I love her so, so much." Her puzzled look, as she asks, "Who on earth's Rose?" generates a further dollop of fuel. Then again, we may pretend that some huge secret has been imparted to us, and that we cannot say what it is in order to draw questioning and attention to ourselves. Indeed, there may be instances where there is that last chance to draw some negative fuel, to make those dimmed eyes flare one last time in shock, hurt, and confusion. An opportunity to lean in close and whisper a final caustic sentence, designed to consign this wretched person to spend their final moments in torment, unable to respond effectively, their grimaces and clawing indicative of the discomfort that has been caused by the parting savagery that has been gently spoken into their ear. A parting burst of negative fuel, which underlines our sense of omnipotence that we can still achieve this, even at a time like this. Invariably, such an act is usually saved for someone who we truly believe deserves it. I have watched in my time a master practitioner at such behaviours, as a silent child made to sit and observe, through to knowledgeable adult who can see straight through this veneer, and who knows really what is going on. I have seen all these moves, actions and behaviours meted out by this supposed bastion of compassion, and all the while I knew. I may not have copied those behaviours extensively myself, usually because time has never permitted me to spend such days providing such a vigil, but I have seen it when younger, and snapshots when older, as well as recollections from others which all fit together. I know what she does. When she arrives, immaculately attired, heels clicking away on the floor as she assumes centre stage, I focus on that click, click, clicking, and know that the Death Watch beetle has arrived. I have learned, and I may yet choose to apply those lessons should the need arise, but I know for sure that I will seek that last fountain of negative fuel before the death rattle. I know who I will be saving my choice comment for, in order to achieve that satisfaction from death.